Hey, welcome to Myra the Magnificent Decktech. So Myra is a new commander from the Infinity set, and it has the ability whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell from your hand, open an attraction, and then it also has the mana ability, or it has the ability pay X and tap it. Exile target instant or sorcery with mana value X from your graveyard and choose an attraction you control that doesn't have a midway counter on it. Put a midway counter on it. Whenever you visit that attraction, copy the exiled card. You may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. Now you might be wondering, what the heck is an attraction and how do you open it? Well, Myra is going to be the only way you're going to be opening attractions, probably, because attractions are cards like this. Pick a Beeble. It's an artifact and it has the ability visit, roll a 6-sided die, yada yada yada, and then a prize. Now, you'll also notice that it has a bunch of lights lit up on the right. It has one not lit up, and then somewhere between 2 and 5 they're going to be lit up, and then 6 is always lit up. So 6 is going to be always a jackpot for all your attractions, and then somewhere between 2 and 5 is going to be on or off. As you can see, there's different variants. You're going to always want the highest lettered variant, which means that the high numbers are lit up. Now, a good reason why is because of a card called Advantage. Roll with Advantage is a type of ability. Let's see here. Advantage. So cards like Barbarian class, cards like Will, they have the ability, if you would roll one or more dice, instead roll that many dice plus one and then ignore the lowest result. So that means that if you roll a 2 and a 4, you're going to ignore the 2 and you're going to pick the 4. And so if your Pick a Beeble is 223A, that means your Pick a Beeble didn't even trigger and you don't get a free spell off of Myra the Magnificent. Another thing you have to keep in mind is that her opening of attractions is only going to happen if you cast the spells from your hand. So you don't want to be suspending any cards, you don't want to flashback anything. You just want to cast them from your hand, or at the very least or best, you want to discard them and then just immediately exile them from your graveyard without actually going through the hassle of casting it and putting it in your graveyard first. So what does Roll with Advantage do? Well, it's going to increase your chances of rolling a 6 by a ton. There's also one black bordered monitor card which will let you re-roll one or more dice you roll. Now, I'm not sure how this works with replacement effects like Will, because Will is a replacement effect if you would roll one or more dice instead. Now, that instead is the keyword. That means it's going to replace whatever you're doing, and it can't replace the same event more than once. Monitor is saying you can re-roll one or more dice. So after Will resolves, let's say you roll 2d6s, and you pick 3 and 1. So you ignore the 1, and then 3 is the result. And then Monitor says, once each turn, you may pay 1 to re-roll one or more dice. We're going to ignore the low roll, and we're going to pay 1 to re-roll that 3. What happens then? Does Will replace the Monitor ability? What can I tell is that Monitor is not a replacement effect, so I think it works, and then will see Monitor's ability and will actually roll 2 dice again, so you're going to get two rolls with advantage with Monitor. That said, Monitor is a 4-mana creature. It does open an attraction for all your trouble. It's probably not worth it, but hey, if you're going all in on attractions, I would strongly consider playing it. Now, how does dice rolling work is that you have an equal chance of any result, 6 being the best, so that's 16%. And assuming you have a normal-ish attraction, so that would be like Trash Bin, so let's do 3 and 6 or 2 and 6. That means you have 16.66 or times 2. That's 33% chance of actually casting a spell for free. Now, once you roll with advantage, which is this section output number 2, that chance immediately skews towards the high end. So if you got the most expensive version of the attraction, which is going to be 5 and 6, that's going to increase your chance to 55% instead of 33%. Your chance is almost doubling. Well, let's say you got the cheap version, it's only lit up 2 and 6. That means your chance goes from 33 to 38.8. That is pretty awful. If you have double the advantage, so let's say you either have 2 copies of Will or you have Will plus Pixie Guide, that means you're going to go through output number 3. And that's going to give you 42% chance of rolling a 6 and a 28% chance of rolling a 5. To put together, that's 70% chance. That's pretty good. 70%, that's roughly 20-ish% more, 15% more than the previous one. And then if you get all 3, Pixie Guide, Barbarian class, and Will, you're going to be getting a whopping 79% chance of casting a spell for free. Now, what happens if you add in reroll? Reroll with no advantage. That means you have a 27% chance of a 5 and a 27% chance of hitting a 6. Now, a big problem with rerolling, though, is that this creature, monitor, will only happen... Oh, actually, no, this is fine, because you're going to roll 1 dice for all your attractions. You're not going to roll a different attraction dice. So it's going to work fine. 27 times 2, that is going to be 54% chance. Pretty good, since that's going to be a lot better than the... No, it's actually about the same as 55. I lied. But it's going to cost you 1 mana, so that's why Monitor is kind of bad. It's also 4 mana just to cast the Monitor. Now, let's say you roll with advantage and you have a reroll. Your advantage is going to become 80% chance that you're going to hit the jackpot. That's a lot better than just having 2 advantage, which is going to be 70. So 80 is better than 70. And then as you can see, once you get into double or triple advantage, no, reroll 3 is going to be, double advantage is reroll 3. That means we're rolling 3 dice, and then we reroll if we don't like the result by paying 1. And then reroll 4 is we're rolling 4 dice, and then we reroll if we still don't like the result. That's going to give us a whopping 96% chance of hitting the jackpot. It's basically guaranteed if you somehow have all of the cards, Monitor, Will, Pixie Guide, and Barbarian class. There's another card called Crux of the Thumb. It's not roll with advantage. You actually get to choose. I know choosing feels a lot better, but it's a choice and it's kind of annoying. Also, Crux of the Thumb is silver bordered. You're technically not allowed to play it. Bamboozling Beeble is another roll with advantage card. I didn't include it because a 1 mana creature that you have to pay 1 is a lot worse than just Pixie Guide, which is just going to passively give you that advantage. So how do you make Myra the Magnificent really strong? So casting spells by itself is actually already strong, but you might notice that her ability is very similar to a card called Panoptic Myra. Now this card is banned in EDH because of extra turn spells. So there's a good shot that Myra the Magnificent is just not going to work in EDH, or it's just going to be banned because it's just too similar to Panoptic Myra. Obviously, you want to take infinite extra turns. Technically, if you get a variety of attractions, the chance of you failing is going to go down to nearly 0, because as you can see here, only 1 becomes a disappointment. So immediately, once you get an advantage, you have like a 2.78% chance of rolling a 1. But that does mean you need at least 2 attractions to cover 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 is always a jackpot. So what are the extra turn spells you want to play? Let's sort by converted mana cost. Because Myra doesn't actually want you to cast the spells, although that would be helpful. You want to just put them into your graveyard usually, because a good chunk of these will exile themselves. So Save the Moment being the best, because you could just exile it from your graveyard for 3 mana. The fact that you don't untap is kind of a problem, but because you're just casting spells for free with your attraction, untapping is not actually required. Also, the Secret Lair version is going to be slightly cheaper than the normal version, so get that. Stitch in Time is actually only a 50-50 shot of you taking an extra turn, but again, 3 mana is 3 mana. Capture Jinjo for some reason is here, but it's just the same thing as Temporal Manipulation and Time Warp. And then there's 2 variants of 6 mana spells. They're pretty bad, but Part the Water Veil is especially bad because it exiles itself. You're probably just supposed to cast Walk the Eons, hard cast it, don't pay the buyback cost unless you have to, and then just exile it from your graveyard for 6 mana on the next turn. Now, you might be wondering, when do I exile cards? The ideal time is on the end step right before somebody else's turn, or you exile it on your post-to-draw step draw, because when you visit attractions is actually on your first main phase. So I assume it works like Sagas, meaning at the first main phase of your turn, you're just going to roll a 6-sided die. This will not use the stack, and then your attractions will start to trigger based off the result. Now, another thing you could do is play copy spells. We're pretty sure that the copy spells that work are cards like Increasing Vengeance, which target another spell, versus cards like Galvanic Iteration, which does not target anything. Increasing Vengeance will probably work because when all your attractions start to pop off, you're going to choose all the spells you want to cast, and then choose every spell that is not Increasing Vengeance, and then target those existing spells with Increasing Vengeance. Another way you can interpret Myra's the Magnificent's ability is that the spells are chosen to be cast when the visitation ability resolves. If that's the case, that means you actually have to play Galvanic Iteration style copy effects instead of Increasing Vengeance. I've solved this problem by simply not playing either of those effects and just, leave that for Mark Rosewater to clarify. The best attractions are actually the ones that have 3 of them lit up. So Fortune Teller is actually the best one since Scrying is a pretty relevant ability and it's got 3 lights lit up. Pick a Beeble being the worst one because it's going to blow itself up eventually, so you just want to exile something that doesn't really matter. And then the tap target creature an opponent controls is also pretty useless. There's a couple reroll cards, Wall of Fortune being the best one. Unfortunately, Wall of Fortune is silver bordered, and the RC committee just hates silver bordered cards for some reason. In terms of other ideal combos, you actually want to play Land Destruction. So Active Volcano and Cleansing Wildfire are the best ones. These are just 1 mana spells that are going to absolutely dumpster your opponent's lands. They probably can't win without lands. It's pretty vital. You probably don't want to play Land Destruction, but if you do, I've collected all the good ones here. And then the advantage cards, like I said, Barbarian Class, Pixie Guide, and Will are probably your core. And then maybe you play Bamboozling Beeble, but it's pretty bad. And then you play these other attractions that are somewhat playable. Don't forget that their Bounce Chamber and Swinging Ship are also playable. They just don't exist in Tapped Out. So in general, that's the Decktech for Myra the Magnificent. It's a pretty powerful Izzet commander, and it plays a lot like Panoptic Myra, so there's a good shot it will be banned. Leave a comment down below if you think Myra the Magnificent is going to get banned because it's too similar to Panoptic Myra.